All right, guys. One thing that we should probably take a quick look at before the year's over is how to find the distance between 2 points and how to find the midpoint of 2 points. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend we've got 2 points. Let's go with -1, 3. Oh, and let's go 2 and -1. Okay, so I'm going to put these 2 points on a graph. -1, 3 is right here. Oops. There we go. Looks like I'm not aligned particularly well, but I can fix that. There we go. And 2, -1 is right about here. There we go. Okay, so let's say that I want to know basically the distance of that straight line that connects those, okay? Well, it's not super easy because it's easy to do lines when they kind of move straight up and down or whatever, and we could kind of count boxes, but that would be really hard because we're on an angle. But we actually have something at our disposal that we can use. If we kind of draw like a little dash line here, oops, and like a little dash line here, just going to make them solid because that seems easier at this point. What we actually find is we have a little bit of a right triangle thing going on here, okay? And we should be able to figure out that little horizontal and vertical distance because now we are just counting boxes. So my horizontal x distance is 1, 2, 3, and my vertical y distance is 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we have a right triangle with sides of length 3 and 4, we can use the Pythagorean theorem. So it would be 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared, where c is my distance between those 2 points. I do the math and I get c equals 5. So really the distance formula is the exact same thing as the Pythagorean theorem, okay? Where a is like the distance between your x values, and b is your y value distance. Okay, so typically the formula you'll actually see is this. Distance equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay, that's typically the formula that you'll see with everything being under the root. But really, that's just the same thing as a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, see, there's my a squared. I just have to subtract my x values to get my x distance. Here's my b squared. And instead of writing c squared on the other side, the square root has been taken of both sides to get rid of it. But I just really like to think of it as just a fancier version of the Pythagorean theorem. Okay. Then, to figure out the midpoint is actually really very easy. The midpoint is just the average x value and the average y value. So basically, if I got in the middle of my x's, which is going to be somewhere maybe right around here, and if I got in the middle of my y's, which is, oops, I'm way off there. My smartboard is going all wacky on me right now, so that was a terrible illustration. But basically, if I take the midpoint of my x's and my y's, then I'm okay there. So really, the formula we have there is x2 plus x1 over 2 is my x value. So it's the average x value, add and divide by 2. And same thing for the y values, y2 plus y1 over 2. So for this particular problem, I would add -1 plus 2 over 2, and I would do 3 plus -1 over 2, and I would get 1/2 or 0.5 for my x value, and I would get 1 for my y value. That is the midpoint of that line. Okay, and if you put that on a graph and kind of graph that midpoint to the best of your ability, it would look like it's right in the middle of that line. Okay, so that's distance and midpoint formulas.